When should you sell your stocks? There are numerous videos about which stocks to buy today, but very little is being said about selling stocks. It's just not something that gets discussed very often, so in this video I wanted to share some thoughts on it. As always, this is not financial advice and it's just for educational purposes. A lot of people are under the impression that stocks should be held forever and that selling is always a big mistake. After all, even Warren Buffett is saying that his favorite holding period is forever. This is of course true, but only if the stock you own still offers strong fundamentals and the opportunity for appreciation beyond your hurdle rate. Unfortunately, the world isn't perfect, and as we know, even Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway is selling stocks from time to time. So when is it okay to sell a stock? Is there such a moment? Phil Fisher discusses this topic in his famous book Common Stocks and Common Profits. I highly recommend that you read it when you have a chance, as it is one of the best books on investing out there. I also added the link in the comments below. By the way, feel free to share your thoughts on the subject of selling stocks with the other viewers, so they can learn from your experience as well. Thank you. So let's go back to the topic. So when can or should I sell my stocks? The biggest reason for selling would be if you made a mistake buying the stock in the first place. Nobody wants to admit that they made a mistake, but mistakes happen. Maybe you bought a stock based on a tip or didn't research enough. Of course, it's better to avoid buying it in the first place, but if you have a mistake in your portfolio, then correct it and sell the stock. If the position is at a loss, I would also not wait for it to break even. Just correct a small mistake before it turns into an even bigger one. There were lots of cases where people thought they should be selling a stock and they just held on and held on and held on, and what happens? You lose a lot of money, that's all. So sometimes it's best to just admit they made a mistake, sell the position and move on. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes as long as you correct that. Another reason to sell a stock is when the fundamentals of a company change. Let's say it how it is. The world is fluid and things can change. Let's say you bought a company 5 years ago when they had a strong product, strong management, and so on. But now after a few years, you notice that things are deteriorating. The company isn't growing as much, the returns on capital are sinking, the management is making a lot of mistakes, and even key people are leaving the company. These things can happen, and as we know, many stocks that were among the best 30, 40 years ago are much smaller today. Some might not even be around anymore. It is just the way it is. So if you notice that your company is not doing as well as before, then it is perfectly fine to sell the stock. You don't own anything to anybody, and your goal should be to always make the highest profits possible. In a safe way, of course. Here's a little side note. Even the ultimate passive investment tool, the SP 500 index, is constantly removing and adding companies to the index. If you look at the index components from 30 years ago, you will notice that many of the companies aren't in today's index anymore. The same thinking applies here. Some companies started to deteriorate and some new companies did better. So the index removed the bad ones and added new better companies. The same thinking should apply to your own portfolio. So make sure you keep an eye on your holdings. Another good reason to sell stocks is a tough one. It's okay to sell stocks if you find a better opportunity to invest your money. This, of course, is very hard, but let's look at a sample. So let's say you're already fully invested, but as always, you keep an eye on the markets and potential investments. So you come across this company that checks all your requirements. It has strong growth, huge margin of safety, is overlooked by the market. It's basically hiding in plain sight, and this is an opportunity to make outsized returns for you. So you're fully invested already, so what can you do? Yes, you will have to sell something to make some room. So you can either sell an entire position, or you can just trim a bit of your existing positions. This is basically up to you, but it's perfectly fine to sell if you need the capital for better investment. This is the big problem though. You have to be very sure that this new company that you found represents a better opportunity. That's where the research comes in. So make sure before selling an existing position and adding something new that you're sure that this is really a better opportunity than your existing stocks. I hope this short video helped you with your decision on when to sell stocks. It's never easy, but sometimes it has to get done.